Hello and welcome to our session, Getting Your Tech to Market. Today, we're going to find out how a local entrepreneur leveraged his leadership experience, drive, and ingenuity, and Idaho resources to turn his technology into a revenue-producing product. You'll learn about prototyping help that's available and grants for research and commercialization activities. Be sure to stay tuned to the end of this broadcast when we'll have a special, exciting exclusive announcement. Now I'd like to introduce you to our panel. We have Sean Luangrath, who is a seasoned international manager. Sean has worked at Fortune 100 companies on multiple continents and for both early and late stage startups. Sean is the CEO at Energy Solar, an Idaho-based renewable energy startup with the mission to provide the world with affordable power. Energy Solar designs and manufactures the world's most portable energy storage solutions. Another one of our guests today is Beudry. Gray is TechHelp's new product development lab manager. TechHelp works with inventors, processors, and manufacturers to make it in Idaho. Gray is a focused, highly motivated, and passionate mechanical engineer with 8 years of experience managing complex projects. He mentors student employees with a hands-on approach to design. They specialize in all developmental phases, including concept generation, rapid prototyping, mechanical design, marketing materials, and manufacturing assistance. Also with us today is Carmen Achabal. Carmen manages the Idaho Global Entrepreneurial Mission, or IGEM program. That's a grant program administered by the Idaho Department of Commerce. The IGEM program works as a catalyst for innovation and economic development by funding research initiatives where industry and universities partner together to bring viable technologies to market. In 2021, Carmen was recognized by the Idaho Business Review as one of the top 10 most influential men and women ushering the startup community in Idaho. Now I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Bam Omotowa. He is an Idaho PTAC counselor for Eastern and Southeastern Idaho. He has over 25 years of postdoctoral research in the chemical technology field. His research has led to 14 U.S. patents, and he's been published in 17 professional journals. Bam has extensive business knowledge and experience working with the government and knows how to win government contracts for small business. He was the principal investigator for 7 previous SBIR grant awards for his small business. He's also a program specialist with Elevate Idaho, a statewide program for Idaho businesses. So we have just a limited amount of time and so much information to share. I'd like to go over to Sean. And Sean, if you can tell us a little bit about how Energy got started.
I'm very excited. Thank you very much, Karen, for having me on this panel. We're very proud that we are an Idaho startup. We actually were incubated out of a solar company in Pocatello, Idaho, Big Dog Solar. And, the emphasis of Big Dog Solar is off-grid solar, so which means that you have solar panels and battery backup, large batteries for residential and commercial customers. And in general, how we got started was a lot of the off-grid customers would ask the Big Dog Solar, do you have something that's portable and that I can take with me to the cabin or to the camping or RVing, that type of thing? And we kept saying no until enough people asked us that we actually started prototyping and creating a solution. And we actually created a prototype and actually iterated a couple of times and got some customer feedback. And finally, when we felt we had a good product, we went and utilized something that has been, I think, it's been a great innovation in the world of startups, which is crowdfunding. We actually put our product on crowdfunding, created a video, and presented what we thought would be the right message to the customers. And we ended up pre-selling about $800,000 worth of that product, our first generation of our solar generators. And that allowed us to get the manufacturing operation going, get a first set of customers that really were willing to pay for a solution. And it validated one of our hypotheses that there is demand for portable energy storage systems out there. So yeah, so it was a great beginning after we hit our prototype and then we put it on crowdfunding.
That's so exciting. Thanks for sharing that information. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about prototyping by going over to Gray to ask about the kind of work he does at Tech Help. Gray?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. So to go along with what Sean's saying, this prototyping is very important, whether it's for crowdfunding, whether it's for getting investors, and it's a really valuable asset for small to medium manufacturers and entrepreneurs to take advantage of. And that's at the New Product Development Lab, what we really try to make accessible to everybody. So we take advantage of a lot of diverse 3D printing technologies to allow us to really span the range of whatever a customer may need, whether it be durability or resolution or price, and get something in their hands that it allows them to leverage whatever they need to leverage. So for Sean's case, it was crowdfunding. And for other people's cases, it could just be some initial testing that they need in order to validate what they're trying to do before they go to trying to do a patent or whatever else that might look like.
So is there a cost for your services?
Yes. Yeah. So we try to make everything accessible. So we use mechanical engineering students here at BSU. We use electrical engineering students and media students to make this very approachable and very easy for really anybody to take advantage of at a fraction of the cost of what a traditional engineering firm would be. So.
And what kinds of equipment do you have available? What types of work can you do?
Yeah, so we run the gamut of additive processes. So resin, filament are our main two ones, ranging from your basic filament Prusa style machines all the way up through your really high-end resin with really, really fine detail machines. And then we also have your traditional subtractive technologies like CNC mills, lathes, laser cutters. We also have CNC PCB printing available as well for people that, like Sean, who are blending that gap between mechanical engineering and electrical engineering, where we can really help out with some of those needs as well.
That's so exciting. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to Sean. And Sean, you mentioned that you used crowdfunding to test the waters of demand and iterate and so forth. What other types of funding did you use in the road to commercializing your technology?
Yeah, as I said, the crowdfunding really got us going. We used the pre-sales funds that we received from our customers, and finally was able to mass produce our product and got them into our warehouse. And then we started shipping out to our thousands of our customers. And actually we kept that allowed us to get going, and we basically doubled revenues for the next 2 or 3 years and kept growing. And that really gave us a really good jumpstart. And as we continued to explore what our customers wanted and some of the needs that they expressed to us, which is one of the great things about crowdfunding or getting an operation going, is when you start talking to your customers, they'll tell you what they want, and they'll actually put money down and let you know what they're willing to pay for. Some of the things that they were telling us is that they really want more power, but still our portable solar generators, they want it to be more lightweight and portable and compact and take it with them. And so we explored this technology of developing our own inverter using advanced materials, not like the traditional silicon-based inverters that are, what have been used in our industry for the past 20, 30 years, but actually new technology that we discovered or we were aware of that we wanted to trial and experiment on to see if we can actually take this relatively new technology and integrate it into our portable solar generators. And we identified the technology, but we still needed some help as far as funding. to go and explore that, and a very competent technical partner. And we stumbled upon a program within Idaho called iGEM, and that allowed us to actually get the funding we needed to go and partner with University of Idaho up in northern Idaho. And the funds provided from us from the state of Idaho through the iGEM program allowed us to do some R&D and really validate the technology, which ultimately allowed us to move forward with this technology.
Wow, iGEM. That sounds like an exciting program that the entrepreneurs watching today would want to know about. Carmen, please give us a brief overview of how it works.
Karen, thank you so much, and happy to. iGEM, or the Idaho Global Entrepreneurial Mission, it's a state-funded grant program that's really geared to help Idaho companies like Energy with their research and development needs. And it's done in partnership with Idaho's 3 public research universities: Boise State University, Idaho State University, and the University of Idaho. And what it does is it really focuses, it takes the expertise, the equipment, all of those resources that our Idaho research universities have, and it addresses and it partners with that Idaho company to say, how can we help you develop that technology even further? How can we get it closer to market, closer to you taking it out to those customers that are requesting it, and leveraging those resources? Oftentimes, some of our Idaho companies don't have the equipment or the technical expertise that's needed to take it to the next level. And so it really is that public-private partnership that really helps to catapult that technology forward. And that's what iGEM does to help Idaho companies.
So I know you're working with a university and there's funding for that. How can the money be spent then? What are some examples?
Okay, so the Idaho legislature has been very supportive of iGEM. They award the Idaho Department of Commerce $1 million to look at different projects, and those grants, they're awarded in grants, and the grants are awarded to the university, and the university can help them with prototyping, as been discussed. It can also be used to help with design and development. It could be used for efficacy. It could be used to really help validate the technology that's being proposed. Or if there's some type of regulatory need, as far as R&D, it can be used toward that. Each grant, it really is dependent on the scope of the research that's needed.
And so Sean's company was fairly young. Is there a sweet spot in terms of how long a company needs to be in business to take advantage of iGEM?
No, iGEM has helped, I would say, relatively newer companies and Idaho businesses at all various maturity stages of maturity, from, I would say, a startup or an entrepreneur all the way to companies like Micron and Simplot. They have also leveraged this program.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you, Carmen. Let's go back to Sean. I'd love to hear more about how Energy grew.
Yeah, so you continue the story. I mean, this is it's interesting that we were able to take these steps that leverage all of these resources that the state of Idaho has provided us. So with this technology that we've started developing in partnership with iGEM, we started really going down the path of the vision that we had as a technology company. We wanted to be more than just selling a product. We actually wanted to develop advanced cutting edge technology, and the inverter technology was a great first step for us. With some of the successes and discoveries from the iGEM program, we were able to actually raise an angel round. We had some angel investors that we basically courted, and we shared with them all of our vision of what we were wanting to do, and that allowed us to really accelerate our growth and actually go down the path of pursuing really advanced technologies. We've worked with other organizations in Idaho, such as the Idaho National Lab, Department of Commerce. They've introduced us to a lot of different avenues, and with that, we actually were able to explore some additional technologies that include microgrid, advanced microgrid technologies that we actually partnered with the Idaho National Lab on to apply for various other grants and so forth. We actually received a grant from the Department of Energy in partnership with the Idaho National Lab, which allowed us to really paint a very, very exciting picture of how our portable solar generators can be coupled with not only the innovative inverter technology that makes it really light and very efficient, but also microgrid technology that makes it a very smart system that you can couple together like a mesh network of solar generators to make a very exciting renewable off-grid power that organizations such as the Air Force got interested in. So we actually applied for a small business innovation research grant or contract or SBIR contract, and we actually won a SBIR contract from the Air Force, which allows us to then explore taking our technology and applying it in the military, in the and other government use cases, which is very exciting. So yeah, so we actually continue to move forward with just the other organizations that within Idaho that allowed us to really gain additional customers that we hadn't thought about before, like the Air Force.
Wow. So getting a contract with the Air Force, that's a big deal. It's a government department. And I know some people say the process of government contracting can be challenging, and maybe entrepreneurs don't know where to start. And then you also mentioned the SBIR funding. So I'd like to take a moment to go to BAM and find out a little bit more about SBIR as a funding source.
Well, the SBIR is a government funding source that takes about 3.2% of federal research grant at 11 agencies of the federal government dedicated to innovation and research. And there is a sister program called the STTR that can have universities or research institutions. And we have at least 3 research universities in the state of Idaho, and they can participate. You can expand that to any federal research organization as well. And this grants fund in phases, 3 phases. The phase 1 can go from $50,000 to about $260,000, depending on the agency. In special, unique cases, maybe like COVID, you can actually get a phase 1 at $700,000. And then you go to phase 2 that can, I think, programmatically go to about $1.75 million. It can be 750. So these numbers move depending on the program and what you're trying to do. You have to justify it. This is a Congress-mandated program, the same as the Procurement Technical Assistance Center that I work for. It's a Congress-mandated program. They're all intended to help us to gain as much traction with the federal dollar as possible. The federal government goes ahead to spend $500 billion a year in contracting of either research or other services or products from the U.S. population. And so we have a right to go in there. It could be an inspiration to you to know that we're not taking as much as we could in Idaho. We're currently taking $1 for every $1,000 we can take by our population size. So there is opportunity to grow, and there's incentive to do that. We just have to match the opportunity that is there. Now, in the state of Idaho, we have a program that is formed by collaboration, a partnership we call Elevate Idaho. Now, that is the Department of PTAC, SBDC, and Regional Economic Development of Eastern Idaho began this a few years back. And then we have benefited from participation with commerce, and then with our sister institutions, the Idaho National Lab and the Research University. The intention is to help our citizens, our residents in Idaho, to write better proposals and win. Remember, I said we have to match the opportunity that looks at us. And so the funding is there, but we have to meet the basic minimum for us to be competitive in these programs. Typically, the win rate is less than 10%. And so we have to be very good. They want us in these programs but they're not going to lower the standard. So we have to match up to the standard. So this Elevate Idaho program has several programs that allows us to meet this minimum. But the opportunity is there, like Sean just described to you. I think one of the things that Sean might tell you, and I should probably go ahead and say it, is that with the SBR program, you have access to federal contracts at very set aside capacity. A Title 8A certification is one of the most difficult things to get in federal contracting, and you're limited to about 9 years. With an SBIR, for your particular research, when there is need in the government, you have a set-aside status eternally. You can keep buying from you. So you have to try to market yourself to meet the market, and there is money there to be made if we organize to meet them.
Wonderful. Thank you. When you mentioned the great resource that Elevate Idaho offers for Idaho businesses to learn about SBIR, and then Idaho PTAC also helps with government contracting, it made me think about the fact that entrepreneurs really don't always know what they don't know. Carmen, I want to jump to you before I get back to Sean and just ask you, is there some kind of one-stop shop that lists resources for entrepreneurs? So you don't miss out.
There is. It's a great starting block, and it's at igem.idaho.gov. What we've done is we pulled together over 200 resources from across the state and put them on a pin map with direct links to those organizations that provide. And we've kind of categorized them into three different categories. One being entrepreneurial business assistance. So folks that need maybe some guidance with maybe some business plans, or they just don't know where to get started, they can go into that and do a search by entrepreneur business assistance. The second category that we've put all of these resources in would be funding. That's a question from grants to loans to angels to I would say some premier funding at a later stage. But we've put those in there to make it easy for folks to understand what's available, especially here in our state. And then the third category of resources is research. And so if they were to look into that, go to that pin map, if they were looking for something specific, they could put that in the search bar and they would be able to look at the research facilities across the state. It is truly like a one-stop shop where they actually can figure out who's there to help. And it really is, there are resources across the state. So we like to really promote the Idaho resource map on the IGEM website. Thanks so much for asking.
Great. Thank you, Carmen. Let's go back to you, Sean. So you were awarded the Air Force contract. Let's pick up where we left off.
Yeah. So again, I think one of the main goals of this panel is to really emphasize to the small business and entrepreneurs in Idaho that there are many resources available to help you move forward. So basically we've continued using other resources within Idaho, including the Idaho Department of Commerce, which then connected us to the federal kind of commercial services organization. And now what we're doing is we're actually exploring international opportunities. So we've been able to take advantage of like STEP grants, STEP STEP grants that help to offset some of the costs of attending like international trade shows, for example, to go and explore customers outside the U.S. so we can export our products and our technologies and sell into other international markets. And we've started, getting success in that. In that we've actually had projects in South America and projects in Haiti and projects in Africa and so forth. And so we're very excited about that. So I think it's actually we're so happy that we're able to actually use all of the various resources that Idaho offers to actually gain these successes.
Fantastic. And it sounds like when you tell the story that things fell into place, and our viewers might think, well, that was an easy road for Sean. Was it?
Yeah, no, in this, 15, 20, 30 minute kind of panel, recorded panel, yeah, it may seem like we've just went from one success to another success, but I can tell you that it was a lot of hard work. There's a lot of things that worked and things that didn't work. Actually, most of it did not work. We actually applied for several, government grants or programs, and we didn't get it, or we took multiple times to get to actually finally receive an award. And that's why it's very important to work with some of these resources, like PTAC and Elevate Idaho, and so that you keep refining your proposals, your pitches, to get going. Our efforts to raise money, as they say in the startup world, you have to kiss a lot of frogs before one of them turns into a prince or a princess, so that that it's the right fit, right? And so they'll invest into your company. And so it was a really, really hard kind of couple years of just kind of putting your nose to the grind and just working hard and trying a lot of different things, and eventually they'll start to bear fruit. All of the efforts that you've put into the startup, and all of the painful days and nights of working starts to come to fruition. And in fact, actually, if you don't mind, I'd love to take this opportunity to actually share that energy, after probably about a year plus of actually speaking to investors and so forth, trying to raise an additional round. Energy has just closed our seed round, a $3 million seed round that allows us to really take the company to the next level. So we're very excited to announce that as part of this Boise Entrepreneur Week, program. And share this really great news. We feel it's a win for our company and a win for the startup community here in Idaho, and for entrepreneurs and so forth. So we're very excited about that.
Congratulations. That is wonderful news. And you gave us some good advice here, really being tenacious, sticking with it. I'd like to ask each of the panelists for their one piece of advice. And Bam, in particular, can you talk about the 50 words?
Yes, thank you, Karen. Like Sean just said, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, but you better make sure you're stepping in the right direction. And so the first thing we do is we take 50 words. It's just like in-house thinking to describe exactly what you offer to the government. In procurement and in research, it's the same. 50 words to describe what it is that you want to offer and differentiate. Within these 50 words, you're required to describe the unmet need in the system, in the society, that the government has responsibility for or cares about. And then you want to know who said it, at what level. The other thing you want to know, for it to be an SBIR level of 50 words description, is to speak about your innovation. Every method of solving a problem has a thinking mode behind it. What innovation means is you have a new paradigm for looking at the same problem and solving it. If you have a new way that has not been an improvement on something, but just a new way, then maybe a lot of people thought you were crazy, but it's new. That itself is an innovation. And then, of course, you gather a team of people who will work with you. If you don't need a doctorate degree to do this stuff, but you need a lot of experience to show you can carry this through. All those are going to be in 50 words that you're going to do. When you make that 50 word summary and share it among everybody in the state who can, you are likely to get people to reason more with you. Because they have intellectual property section, you might need to have a provisional patent to protect some of the first innovation you want to describe so you can talk openly. But 50 words is just good enough. If you make it longer than that, I don't think our attention span is much longer than that. And then in the world of business, when you come from innovation, Oftentimes, you do not understand that it takes a lot to be a manager. There are funding success. When Sean said there were many years and pain, in research, we call that the valley of death. I mean, when nobody's funding you and then you have no money, you just abandon it and go away. The idea may be good, but you have to bear this child till the end of it. So you have to work with people who will plan how to get through the valley of death. You may never have seen it before. You have to go through this with some perseverance and planning. And then, of course, what we do in Elevate Idaho is to guide you through solicitations from the government to find a match for you and then make sure you fit the government. Sorry, in government, I'm sure we hear on radio and TV that the government is very loose. It's not loose. When the government asks you for 40 things, you better make sure you have 40. Otherwise, you do not qualify to stay there. So the government is very serious with what it does. State or federal, it's the same. And that's what we do. And then some of people are grant writers. You want to find people who can communicate for you. I think there's commercialization planning. There is a lot of limitation for many innovators to have a plan in business. And we have the SBDC, whose primary role from the Small Business Administration is to guide small businesses to succeed. So in writing your business plan and all that, you have to have a plan. Finally, in following with what Sean and Carmen has told you, you have to have a conviction. You have to have a determination. You have to persevere, and you have to have a higher purpose, I think. And I said, I like to give two. If you don't have many more than that, and I think you should have more. One of it is the dollar. One of it is the future. The future of Idaho eggs on much of this. We're having new people moving into the state, and there are those natives that have lived for long. We all want to grow in harmony. We need to harvest all the capacity in our young people. They can stay and grow a state into a success. And then there is federal dollar at $500 billion that we can make. We are currently making $1 for $1,000 that we can get by population ranking. I think we can do much better. So let these things drive you if you want to do this. The job is enormous, but the profit is also very enormous.
Thank you. I'd like to go to you, Gray. What advice do you have to help entrepreneurs who have this great idea? They're trying to get it off the ground. Or have you seen some, pitfalls to avoid? What would you share with the audience?
Yeah, the big thing is not to get caught up in just assuming that your idea is going to be marketable or that everybody wants what you have created. There's a lot of research and data that needs to be acquired before you can determine if crowdfunding is a good way to do that, like in Sean's case. And so getting a prototype, whether that be physical, virtual, whatever that means, is an extremely valuable tool. And with the advances in technology, it's not as expensive as some people think that it is. So getting something in your hand, getting it in the hands of potential investors, getting it in the hands of, in terms of Sean's case, some potential, pre-selling of those, first $800,000 worth of equipment. You need something to show people. And in Sean's case, you could do your first initial product run in we'll call it a prototyping state or a small batch manufacturing state, depending on the nature of your product. And so it's really a whole new world than it was even 5 years ago. So it's quite exciting.
Thank you. And now I'll go to you, Carmen. One last piece of advice.
I would say ask questions. Ask questions. Idaho has an incredibly supportive ecosystem. So if someone needs help, ask for help. Ask questions. If call me, call Bam, call Karen, there's so many people that they can contact to say, how can you help? What's my next step? I'm stuck. So one, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Idaho, our business community, our entrepreneur, our startup community, very supportive. to really help and guide, so that way you don't have those missteps that I think a lot of folks kind of encounter. The second, can I give two, if it's okay?
Okay.
The second, sorry, I'm going to do the second piece is, don't be afraid to fail. Failure is actually a good thing, because you learn so much from failure. You'll learn to see what works or what didn't work. And oftentimes what didn't work will tell you a whole lot more to get you to that next step. So don't be afraid to fail. Ask lots of questions. We have an amazing ecosystem, and don't be afraid to fail.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Sean, congratulations again for the journey your company has taken and getting that funding round closed. And thank you everyone here for providing support for entrepreneurs in Idaho. We'll see you later.